Welcome back to Case Closed, Anime Review, episode number 24. Yeah, everybody's probably thinking, though, aren't you with this series yet? You've been in the series since frickin' January. Good news is I'm almost done with it. I have 3 seasons left. Thanks to finishing this one. Yep, 3 seasons to go. This season was only 39 episodes, and about... And they had 16 filler episodes. Yep, 16. Which, okay, that's not too bad. It's actually less than was last one. Like almost half the frickin', like most of the frickin' season was mostly filler. Yep. Now, these episodes are pretty much considered. Now, the season itself started episode 740, and it ended with episode 778, which, by the way, is a filler episode. Yep, a filler episode. Yeah, this season is noteworthy for featuring a lot of appearances by the Junior Detective League. Yeah, they appear a lot in this season, like in a good chunk of the episodes. I think about over half of them. Yeah, this is a 39 episode season. These episodes were the fill episodes. We have Sim 42 to Sim 43, Sim 50, Sim 53, Sim 57, Sim 58, 761, 762, 767, 769, and 774 to 778. Yep, those were the episodes. Now, also because of the fact I'm doing this episode since my 21st episode of this review series, and talking about like what like this season overall. Oh, this season featured appearance by Zumi Sarah, the sister of one of the recurring series. She appeared for 11 episodes. She episode for the first 2 episodes. She was absent. She was absent for the next 2. She's there for a good chunk of the season. First, we have a 2-parter called the bathroom where Ran collapsed as well. Yeah, this mostly put it just a little bit character figure out who basically. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what this one was. It's just been a little while since I've watched it. Oh, this season. I almost forgot to mention this season covers chapters 856 to 890 of the manga. Not bad. I think started with season 25. Finally get past that. Yep. Oh yeah, this is the one where they had a character kill in the bathroom, and Rachel fell on top of them via this hypnotic gas. Yeah, it turns out one of the 3 souls actually posed as the actual victim by wearing a towel. Yep. Yeah, and it was actually one of the women. I don't remember her reasoning for this particular one, but it's an okay one. Mostly just figure out who Mizumi's brother is. Then we have Promise of the J Leaguer. Yeah, this one is basically about why Conan trying to figure out why a big time soccer player is kicking with different foot he normally does, and he tries to kick with the right foot and he misses. Yeah, and it turns out that he's doing this because the little boy he thinks he actually hurt him. Nope, it was actually the guy who brought him to the hospital who was there with him. It was by complete accident. This is just an okay episode. Nothing really much to home in this one. As for the following episode, we have the 2 consensual sex successes. This one is particularly this one interesting one. Involved like a serial attacker known as a hooded man who attacks people with I think it was like a wrench. I think it was. Actually, it was a rod. Yeah, it was a rod. And one woman uses this thing to kill her roommate because she's apparently taking money from her. Yeah. Oh yeah, and she also basically wore outfits that she basically had been wearing. Yep. Yeah. And then we have across the first of 4 episodes featuring Makito, Serena's boyfriend. Yep. This one basically the first two is him being a suspect, which is Yakamoto shows up. Yeah, and he's suspected of killing a guy because he got into a fight with him. Yep, he's now, and Mizumi Sarah basically briefly fights him, and of course he figures, oh yeah, he has Jaquando. Oh yeah, and it's revealed why he's in town at the end of the episode. I will get to that soon. Yeah, the guy is killed. The guy who's killed in this one is killed in the most bizarre way possible. Like he's killed in a porta potty. Yep, a porta potty. Well, they did this. The woman did this basically was a science teacher, and the guy who was killed in there, I think he was the PE teacher. So she tapes up the vent with like cardboard, and she locks the door. She basically stops a drainage, basically clogs it, fills it with water. Also puts like these lights on top. Also burns, and apparently it's a scientific. It's very okay. It's like very scientific, and apparently the air basically just gets so sucked out, and the water gets sucked through, and that apparently kills him. Luckily enough that they were able to, well, they did this experiment with the detective, though he had an oxygen mask, so he was able to survive that. Yeah, let's see. As for why she killed him, oh, to avenge her sister. Yep, that's basically the reason for this. And then we have Magito versus the Kaido Kid. This is a great two-parter. A return of Jill. He actually appears twice in the season. He appears later on as well. Yeah, we have, and this is basically true to the manga. Basically, he basically is in town to meet Saria's parents. It's a okay meeting. I should point out though, the first episode and the last one are the last time her parents show up in the damn series. Also, this is the first time since episode 76. Yes, it has been almost 700 episodes since these two's last appearances series. As for why it took so long for next appearance, I have no idea. And you know the weird thing is, they haven't appeared since this two-part story. Now, from what I can tell, her father has no problem with him at all. Her mother has a slight problem with him because, oh, he's a warrior. Thinks him as some rich guy or whatever. Think he might be the head of the corporation. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to be with him. We love him. And of course, then he hears about the Kaido Kid, so he just he sneaks away from the airport. He goes to her uncle's house to guard his jewel, and of course he proceeds to beat the living crap out of all of his security guards, which even he can tell, yeah, these guys are whips compared to him. He's like, I want to join your team, and of course he's like, nah, and then of course he gets a call from Serena. And he says, like she mentioned, he's undefeated in 400 matches. He's like, what? He's like, okay, you're hired. And it's a special jewel that he just come across. And the way he protects it was unusually possible by putting it around his neck. And basically act like a meditation. And everybody just watching him. And he's in his karate garb as well. And eventually, he's able to figure out that Serena the Kaido Kid basically poses Serena, and he figures it out the most unusual way possible by pointing out the fact that a woman's ring finger is longer than her index finger. And as its ring finger was shorter, and because, he had made a promise to her by, holding her hand, of course she's blushing. I just point out these two have never made out the whole series. Nope. As Magito himself, he does appear about 2 or 3 more times after this particular two-parter, but that's it. I kind of wish he appears more because he's such a great character. And it's so funny, though, that eventually Conan comes in, and eventually the Kaido Kid is found out, and of course the Kaido Kid made a deal with Serena that please don't harm him, he's got a match tomorrow. Yep. So Conan accidentally takes out a column. And then he's trying to think of a good idea to take out another column with his bare hands. Basically, I'm thinking, though, is it just me or anybody knows martial arts can basically smash concrete? Yeah, the only character I've seen who does this is Rachel Moore. She's the only character I've seen do this. Oh yeah, and basically, there's a continuity error with this episode. According to Serena's mother, the Coyote Kid has never dressed up as a woman. That is a big fat lie. Oh yeah, he has. He's dressed up as Rachel. He's dressed up as Anita in her regular body. And oh yeah, he also posed as Sarah, though they don't count that. But he's done it 3 times. And I probably heard was like, she's never posed as her. Yeah, you dressed up as Serena. Yeah, eventually he just uses the columns. The collapse basically uses sort of like a seesaw and propels himself right through the freaking skylight, right off the Kendo Kid. He's like, whoa. He's like almost like dropping his jaw at this. He's like, nah, here, keep it. Despite the fact he got partially bruised anyways, but he remains uninjured. Yep. And of course, her mother made a bet with him basically. If you can stop the Kendo Kid, you can stay with her. But if you fail, you have to break up all ties with her. But look up, since he won anyways, he gets stayed with Serena. And goodbye, Serena's parents. Hopefully you show up again in the future, because this is the last time they show up in the damn series. I looked it up. Apparently after this arc, after this case, they never appear again in this series. I don't know why. It's bizarre. Nothing bad happens and they just stop showing up. That's what it is with a lot of time with this series. That characters just show up and they just stop appearing. Yep. At this two-parter, we have the Kangaroo Reunion Murder. No, that's not it. Let's see. Where is that next one? Let's see. And then we have the Metropolitan Police Session. Yep, a two-parter. Covers only 3 chapters. Yep. Bobby guy getting stabbed in his next door apartment. Yeah, the whole thing with this one is that the whole Metropolitan love story thing, the whole possible confession. Yeah, apparently Tagaki is confused about the fact that Saito might be pregnant. And it turns out that, nope, she actually misplaced her pin that she wears on her lapel. Yeah, and look up Tagaki as if, fine, no problem, get back to her. And he mistakenly assumed that she was pregnant. Like, I think a lot of people suspect she was pregnant. Also, I think it was a joke in one of the episodes of the season where, I think maybe in this episode where he jokes about the fact that her bed is like soft and comfortable, and of course, and he is like, "Have you been sleeping together?" No, they haven't had sex yet, but it's hinted in the episode she does want to have sex with him. Yeah, and of course, like he mentions that her mattress is expensive. It's so funny of how that is. Yep. Yeah, this one is basically about a guy who got killed by his next door neighbor because he'd been stalking his sister. Yeah, that's the only reason why he killed his neighbor, because he was stalking his sister. Yep. And that's really the whole point of this two-part. It's an odd one, to say the least, yes. And then you have The Man Who Was Betrayed by the Sea. Yep. This one is basically about a guy who's killed via drowning, and she basically is killed by his wife for caring more about money than care about his company more than her. Yep. Despite the fact she treats the detective boys, the junior detective really well. And after that, we have two-parter called The Case Lucky Calico. This one basically resolves a little plot thread that hangs since when they were in that freezer of who this cat belonged to. It turns out it belongs to a guy. They expected it was like 3 guys. One was like a guy who was allergic to cats. The other 2 being looked like a con man and an old lady. And turns out that the con man and the old lady were not this cat's owners, but the guy who was allergic to the cat anyways. And it was a nice little episode. The episode ended with him getting attacked. Then she revealed to be one of his neighbor. It was revealed to be, believe it or not, I think it was him, right? Was this the one with the? Yeah, this is basically where. Um, Yeah, this is. Yep, this is the one where they mention it. And the person who killed him is, I believe, it was a novelist. Yeah, the novelist killed him because apparently he was all over cat. Yep. And so the guy survives, but he just gives the cat to the waitress from the Para Cafe because, well, he's a cat. Just want to take care of it. Yep. It's a great little two-parter. Now we have the blind spot and the share house. This one is particularly very odd one. This house is like so freaking tiny. Like the kitchen is basically about half the size of my bedroom. Heck, the kitchen's got a sliding glass door. You can barely move around this kitchen, and apparently everything's got name tags on them. And oh yeah, and how one of the people was killed. This was a girl with glasses. She's killed because, well, her tap dancer will never go crazy. And how this girl kills her is like, wow, it's like completely not unoriginal per se, but man, it's like the writer of this episode basically was a big fan of freaking Psycho. Yes, apparently the woman who killed her was basically one of the roommates, not Rachel's captain. No, not her. One of her other roommates kills her first by stripping down completely naked and then stabbing the woman. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's like the writer of this episode, like I said, is a big fan of American Psycho, so let's have the murderer strip down completely naked and stab a woman to death. Yeah, though it's different from how Christian Bale did it in American Psycho movie, who killed a woman with a freaking chainsaw, or running around with a chainsaw. Yes, I've seen American Psycho, so I can know that reference. I know what this is, yeah, but it's so bizarre. Yeah, all because her tap dance drives a woman crazy. And that's the reason why she killed her. Yes, particularly very odd episode. And then we have a three-part, which is the return of Mizumi. It's actually, yeah, I believe this is one of the last times she appears in the season. Let's see. She appears like, after this, she appears for like one hour case, and another time she appears like in a background image, but that's it. This one is a very funny one. The Tragedy of the Red Woman. Yeah, Conan, Serena, and Rachel are invited to this. Oh, yeah, it's Conan, Rachel, Serena, and Mizumi are invited to this house by, well, Mizumi's brother, the middle brother, revealed to be some other character brought up in the series. Yeah, so they get there and they decide to do some cleaning. Of course, she is also brought to investigate some kind of like vandalism. That's what Missouri's there is. That's what Missouri's there for. And then like there's a murder happens, and it happens in a bathroom, and the bathtub's full with these tomatoes. And Conan realizes there's a bathroom, and all of a sudden like he looks at Rachel, and then something weird happens. Her towel drops, and Conan sees her completely naked. So his face turns red, and blood shoots out of his nose. He gets a nosebleed. Yeah, it's stereotypical for anime to do this. Look up, it's only the second time in the series he ever did this. The last time he did this was back in season 1. In the final two-parter. Though it's like, he's always so embarrassed when he sees Rachel in like in a swimsuit, or at least seeing her completely naked. And it was a joke, basically. It's like, I think that, well, they have one of the detectives pop up in the series, the female detective. No, it's not Saito. It's one of the other ones. Yeah, and she's, oh, did you? He's like, I passed out because I saw the corpse. And Serena's like, did you really pass out? Like, he probably passed out because he saw Rachel in the nude. And of course, they joke about basically what girl he possibly likes. Like, first is Amy, and then it's Anita. And of course, he's like, which one do you like? And he's like, and this is of course Rachel asking about this. And he thinks in his head, he thinks in his thoughts, it's you. Yeah, he likes her. Yeah, but this is a fun. This is basically this whole three-part is a mixture of comedy and very serious and full of excitement too. We have this mysterious red woman, wears a red cloak, carries around a kitchen knife. Yeah, and it turns out there's another red woman who actually was a victim of hers. The actual woman had been dead for years, and they would confirm this. Yep, thanks to the umbilical cord. And the one who basically sliced up the murderer who killed off the guy in the bathtub, yeah, she got sliced by a woman who was posing as the Red Woman. And yeah, she basically was not arrested for what she did. She basically was taking out some help, and the woman who got sliced didn't get pressed charges. So it's a great little three-parter. Oh yeah, there's also speculated this will actually Missouri sister, and of course this was the first appearance of an unknown child, which they reveal refer to as the sister for the other domain. Yeah, she pops up like one at a time in the season. Mm-hmm. Then you have the two-parter, the comedian who turned himself in. Yep, this was an interesting one. Yeah, where he thinks he killed this town president, and thinks he didn't, but nope. Turns out really was him all along. Yep, he just basically covered up his actual crime by committing a fake crime. Yeah, it's an odd one, but it's actually quite interesting of a part. Then we have the romance novel with the unexpected conclusion. Yep. This one kind of reminds me of another episode of another writer, very similar hotel. Yeah, I've won a few times in the series where a writer turns out to be the actual murderer. Yeah. This one basically involves death of his assistants. Yeah, it turns out he killed her. Because I think apparently he was trying to blackmail her or something. Oh yeah, and apparently he's allowed to witness basically seeing her undressed completely before he kills her. And somehow it takes time to transfer her body. Yeah, how to transfer her body back downstairs via a pulley. Yep, that's how he did it. Yeah, and of course you get a chance to hear the woman speak first time, and she of course smashes a listening device that Conan left behind in the room, and he's like, I wonder what technology is. This is quite interesting. They know it's basically a gossip basically made this thing, and yeah, and that's the last you see her for the whole season. She comes back next season, though. And then we have a two-parter called the Koga Hamako Mystery Tour. This one's actually pretty good until realize though that one of people gets attacked, and turns out the attack was real. The person did survive. It's more interesting. The case itself is just not interesting at all. It's more like the places they visit more interesting than the actual case itself. Yep. And after that we have Conan and Heihachi Code of Love. Of course, you have the last kind of appearance this season of Mizumi, be a background image. Yep. Yeah, this basically is character development for Harley, who saves. It's all about basically a drug deal, and he's able to fight off a bunch of basically what looks like a bunch of security, like people from the health department. They're basically kind of like the Japanese version of the DEA. Yep. And yeah, it's like, what are you doing to my cousin? Yeah, and of course Conan recorded this later revealed at the end of the two-part. Conan recorded the whole thing. Yeah, and this comes back to him later on in the series. Yep. And then we have the Tamsu Flying Guy case. Yep, two time. It's actually the first time in a little while in the season we have two-part canon episodes in a row. Yep. And this one basically involved a guy who fall into a river via some rope, and turns out the guy who led him there into the river was actually the one who harmed him. The guy who was with him. Yeah. All because he had an affair with basically this other guy's sister, and the other guy had a thing for her, and that's the reason why he did what he did to her. But a great little two-parter. Yeah, of course you have Hybera, Anita basically just listening to a song by Yoniko, and Conan's like figuring out what it is, but he's like has this little evil girl. I really want to find out what she's listening to. He never does, but it's a funny little two-parter. Yep, and then we have the Aihabara imprisonment case. Yeah, she's being held hostage by, well, the owner of this cat that she basically grew fond of. All because that apparently she discovered accidentally discovered the fact the woman, the owner, killed her husband. Yep. That's basically the reason for that. And then we have the troublesome emergency patient. Yeah, a guy who was killed kind of twice. Well, basically he got attacked, and then yeah, it turns out the doctor himself was actually having an affair with one of his nurses, and apparently the nurse was trying so hard to keep it a secret that he prevented him from doing his job. And at one point, the nurse was actually trying to kill the patient. Yep. Yeah. Some of the stuff this episode, it seems like a ripoff of something from Diagnosis Murder. Yeah, a nurse trying to kill somebody, a doctor, yeah, something either of Diagnosis Murder, Perry Mason. Yeah, it's like let's take this inspiration from this one. Then we have the Tense Tea Party. Ooh. Yep. This one basically starts off with, well, Richard Moore arriving home after doing some pink go, find out his wife's going surgery, and it's minor surgery. Yeah, this time he basically rushed down here, and he apparently kept his phone up because he doesn't like keep his phone on vibrate. He thinks this is gross. Yeah, for me it hurts having the phone on vibrate. It hurts. It basically causes a sting in your leg, and eventually find out a murder and come across a poison murder via tea, and it turns out it was the patient. But they were kind of visit. She's the one who killed her. And the reason why she did that is because this woman's son, these women are all high school friends, and I don't know if all four of them have kids, I know two of them do, that she apparently, her son who had the flu, gave the murderer's son the flu, which apparently at the time she was also pregnant with her second child, and because her son having the flu, somehow that caused her to miscarry. Somehow, I'm like, okay, it's particularly very bizarre, but yeah, that's the reason why she killed her friend. Poisoning. Then we have the Shichi Kudo Aquarium Case two-parter. Yep, this one basically involves a flashback of a murder that happened like before, I would say just before they go to Tropical Land. Yep. And they mentioned, oh yeah, like going to America, we come across a couple murders. Yeah, they mentioned the last two times. This is the third time they do flashback. And yeah, it figures out that the person who actually killed this guy via stabbing him, while some shock him out, was actually his ex-girlfriend. Yeah, and thinking there was a current boyfriend was suspected, but nope. Yeah, it turns out the reason why he basically Jimmy figured out right away that he was not the murderer due to the fact he had to basically turn his whole body to turn his because it basically was neck brace, and of course the girlfriend had a very good alibi. Yep. So yeah, and of course you also have Rage's phone being broken, and of course Jimmy's like, yeah, I'll buy you a new one. Plus those things like, I can only afford this so much. Yeah, he eventually does. It's a great little two-parter. Oh yeah, now we come to 774, where you have Munich's missing Scream. Okay, now here's the thing. I'm not sure about the writer of this episode. Now, the Scream painting they're talking about in this episode, I know what this painting is. I've seen it before. This painting was painted by Vincent van Gogh during the Renaissance. And we have some artists that claim that this guy painted the thing. And of course, they mentioned Vincent van Gogh in the episode. And oh yeah, this is probably by far the first time that Serena's uncle appears in a fellow episode. This one leads into a film like the episode last season did. Yeah, and it turns out that the reason why the thing disappeared briefly because the president of the company took it to his house so he could take a picture with it. Yeah, and he notices though he decided not to press charges if he can get that picture, and presenting it like an exhibition at the museum. He's like, that's a story for another day. Leading records to the film. Yep, but this was bizarre. Okay, now I don't think that Vince Van Gogh painted the other ones, but the Scream one, yeah, that is one he painted when he was depressed. I know it's because I watched Doctor Who and plus I looked it up. Yeah, when I heard Vince Van Gogh, he was a very depressed man. At one point, he was committed to a mental institution. Yep. But he was, in fact, one of the most well-respected painters of his time. Yep. Great little standalone episode. Then we had the manipulated great detective, where Richard Moore is basically convinced by leading us can't figure out who killed, well, possibly they call Mr. Head. He's Mr. Mustache. And it turns out Mr. Head was actually Miss Lip all along, and the guy was actually her son. And it turns out she had her when she was 15. Yep. And it turns out it was actually the three guys who actually killed him. She, I think, was let off the hook, despite the fact she planned the whole thing. Yep. Though she did basically send out a hitman, and of course Richard Moore saved his daughter's life. Well, first by Conan tackling her, and then him basically doing a judo flip on him. Yep. But it's a great two-parter. I kind of wish it was canon because it was actually really damn good. Yep. And then we had the last episode season. The detective voice was the Elderly Detective League. Yeah, though the sub basically refer himself as the Silver Detectives. It's a group of 4 senior citizens who are kind of like the Junior Detective League, but older. Anita in this episode, but she no-shows it for some reason. Apparently she's suffering from the flu. Yeah, they probably just didn't. They probably want to save her for later story. That's probably the reason why they have her in this episode. Yeah, apparently they're like just like the Junior Detective League, where they just find stuff and they come across a murder, and it turns out the lead of the scoop is in fact a murderer. Killed the guy because he hit a friend of his with his car, and apparently she wanted him to pay him to keep silent. Yeah, so he killed him by whacking with the device in his apartment. And they also got scolded by McGuire for destroying a crime scene. Yep. It's an okay standalone episode, but yeah, they don't appear ever again in the series. Nope, they never do. Then we have Mirage and Missing Angel. This was the episode I watched recorded this video. Yeah, this one was about an artist who gets killed because he tried to convince a friend of his, who was a hotel manager, to turn himself in because he had filmed him committing a murder. Well, at least an accident, though. He killed him, and the guy who was hotel manager found out he was one who erased data on his digital camera. Yeah, just it's an okay standalone episode. Best thing about it is seeing this great image of the ocean waves being lit up by fireflies. That's the best thing about the episode. The case itself is just okay. Yep. But yeah, that's particularly it for this particular review when it comes to season 24 of Case Closed. Yep, so that's it for this particular review. I still have a little bit of time today. I'm going to work on the review of the newest chapter of the 7 Deadly Sins manga. I'm probably going to do it in a couple hours. But of course, I'm going to have dinner soon, and of course, I'm going to get the comics done first. But I really wanted to get this video done first. Yep. So yeah. Now, as for when I'll get a chance to review for season 25, probably not for about a week. Yep. But hopefully it doesn't take me very long. I hope not. It's only 13 episodes. Yeah, when I watched this season, like the first day I watched was last Thursday. I got done the first 9 episodes. Next day was 8. Last weekend I didn't get done that much. But luckily the past couple days I got done a lot of episodes. Yep, a lot. Yep. So until you see the next video. Bye.